Don't sleep. Wake up. Wake up. There's a whole world out there calling for you, waiting for you. There's a spirit deep down inside you longing to come out. There's a world that needs your contribution. Wake up, my darlings. Life is calling. May the blessings of Jesus Christ through the one Spirit flow into you, that you may be open to all of the possibilities of life as they open up and bring you to the place that you are meant to be. Hello, everyone. My name is Charlie. I'm a non-binary Christopagan Druid who practices creation spirituality. Today, we're going to be talking about the call of life, the call to life. If there's one thing that I have learned in this life, we want to feel it, to experience it, and like Jesus said, to have life more fully. There are a lot of powers out there that are working against us. There are a lot of things in this universe that are trying to keep us down, and I don't just mean the powers and principalities in high places. I mean the systems in which we live, whether those be the patriarchal systems that try to keep us down for our gender, or keep us under control because of our gender. The capitalist systems that tell us where to go and how to work and how to do the job, even when we might actually know how to do it better. I'm talking about the religious systems of control that are trying to keep us from our own true power and who we are. I'm talking about the political systems that are there to keep us blind from the suffering of our fellow human beings, our fellow animals, our fellows in the trees, in the rocks, in the rivers, and in the air. There are many powers out there trying to keep us asleep. For many of us, they're keeping us trapped in a nightmare. Wake up, my darlings. Open your eyes. Look out into this beautiful world and know that you are blessed, that you are loved, that you are called by the very one who sparked that initial bang, that flaring forth of all that is, was, and ever shall be into being. You are called to live. This is a big misunderstanding when we talk about purpose, because yes, some of us have a calling, some of us have something deep down inside of us that we just have to get out, but all of us have a calling to live, to embrace life in its fullness, to embrace life in all of its subtlety and nuance, and to live. So many people get distracted and look for the meaning of life. When Joseph Campbell was asked about this and the power of myth, he said, I don't believe people are looking for the meaning of life. I think people are looking for the experience of being alive. And he was right. He was right. We are looking for that experience, and we find it every now and then in little moments, stolen moments. We call them stolen moments, because we know the forces that are trying to hold us back. We know the forces that are trying to keep us from achieving all that we could be and having the fullness of life that we could have. We steal those moments, and in so become holy rebels that are out here trying to retake what is rightfully ours. What does it mean to be alive? What does it mean to wake up and be alive? I grew up poor. I grew up with a bit of struggle in my life. Many have had it worse than I have had, and a few have had it better. Sustaining our lives, simply maintaining our breath and bodies, that's mere existence. That's just getting by. And we know that. The systems around us work so hard to keep us in that state where we're just trying to get by. We're just trying to get through to the next day, to pay the next bill, to get caught up, to keep our heads above water. We know that we are drowning. We also know when we're alive. Those sweet, stolen moments when we're with our friends and we're laughing, or we write that poem we wanted to write, or we bake those cookies, or we see the smile on the face of a child. Those sweet stolen moments where we're not doing, but being. We've gone beyond the to-do lists and the have-tos and the oughts. We've gone into that place where we are existing in that wonderful flow of life. Everything drops away. Time drops away. Those glorious moments where we lose all track of time, joy, peace fill us. And we experience in that place meaning, purpose, and life. I wish I could tell you exactly how to find that, because it's different for every person. This is where the lies come in and the control comes in, is people tell you, here is the exact way to do it. Now, there is a formula. There is an honest to God real formula, and that's doing things where our skill is just slightly outpaced by the challenge that we give us. So we're trying to stretch ourselves. Maybe that's in playing a game and getting a little bit further or getting a little bit better. Trying to perfect a recipe. Trying to get all of the notes just right on the piano or the guitar or whatever instrument we play. Remembering all the words to our favorite song so that we can get through it. Writing that paper that we know we need to write. Writing that letter, that email, that text that is more important to us than anything else, and that we're so afraid to send. Anytime we come up against one of those challenges is just beyond, just outside of our comfort zone, just a little bit further than we think we can get, that's when we enter flow. That's where we enter this glorious liminal experience of being alive, and everything opens up to us. Psychologists have started realizing that when we enter that flow state, our minds become plastic. We can make new connections. We can see new things. We can understand things in a way we never understood them before. We can discover truths. We can discover the answers to things that felt so far beyond us. But we have to challenge. We have to embrace that challenge. And we have to push harder, farther, and deeper into those mysteries than we ever have before. And that's the power that is arrayed against us. Those voices that tell us, you're not good enough, you're not worthy, now is not the right time, now is not the perfect time. How could you do that when this is happening in the world? All of those voices are there to control you and your actions. Now, we have to be clear here. None of these things that actually help us to experience life should harm ourselves or others, because that is embracing the path of death, not life. But letting yourself sing in the shower, sing in the car, going to that park that you want to go to, finding a way to get to that concert that means so much. Taking time to be with your friends, your family, your loved ones. Those stretches, those are the places where we refuel and rebuild ourselves and keep ourselves on the path to life. Now, maybe you don't know what it is that you want to do. Maybe you are in the state of exhaustion and burnout where you don't know what to do. Trust me, I've been there. I spent about 6 years of my life in the worst burnout that I've ever had. You see, I had started working for other people. I had started working to make others happy. And I pushed and I pushed and I pushed myself till I literally couldn't push anymore. And everything snapped, and I lost my will to do anything. It was hard to get up in the morning. It was hard to get out of bed. It was hard to eat. I didn't want to sleep because that's when the nightmares came. And I didn't want to wake up because there was nothing waiting for me but pain, sorrow, and depression. So I know that state. And while you should go see a psychologist and find your best path through, because depending on what caused you to be in that state, you may need medicine to help you get out. But one of the things that really helped me was going to something Carl Jung said. Go back to something that you loved in your childhood. What is something that meant so much to you? For him, it was pushing rocks around. He bought himself a piece of property where he could push rocks around and build little forts and stuff, because that's something he loved to do when he was a kid. And he would go there and he would play in the dirt like he did when he was a kid. And he reconnected with that part of him that he couldn't be when he was in the hallowed halls of academia, when he was working on the mysteries of the mind. He could go out and play in the dirt and lift the rocks and reconnect to himself. For me, that was my imagination and my storytelling. See, I'd been writing before that, but I had gotten to this rut where I was writing for other people. I was worried so much about whether or not my readers would like the stories I was doing that I wasn't writing any stories. I wasn't telling any stories. I could barely talk. People would come to the house and I'd be happy if I could get 1, 2 words out. But I made the decision to start telling my stories the way I wanted to. And in a very short period of time, I started writing again. I started telling stories again, stories that came from my heart. I didn't care if anybody liked them. I didn't care if they connected with others. These were the stories that I wanted to see, the stories I missed, the stories that meant something deep down inside of me. And once I got started, and it was hard to get started, breaking that inertia of sitting still is not easy. But once I got started, they just flowed. And I wrote, and I wrote, and I wrote. And I told these stories, and I made these characters, and I built these worlds that meant so much. And I reconnected to myself. I saw a class that I could take that really resonated with me, and I took it. And I went through, and after practicing creation spirituality for 20 years, I got my certification. I went through all 6 classes, and I got my certification. And I got to meet all of these other people. And I found the courage to do what I'm doing now, speaking about my faith, about my heart, about what means so much to me. That was my journey to reconnecting to light. Through those classes, I started having dreams of fire. And that's how I met Bridget. You can actually find that story over on Wisdom's Cry. I wrote the whole thing up if you want to read it. If you go to wisdomscry.com, go to the Bridget section, you'll see my mystical experience. The whole story is there. But that is my story. You shouldn't try to copy my story. You need to find your own story. And so that goes back to, what did you love to do as a kid? Before all of these systems overlaid on top of you and restricted you and held you down and told you who to be and what to do and what was right and what was wrong and what was adult. What did you love to do? Were you a reader? Were you a writer? Were you a baker? Did you pretend to bake all these wonderful things? Were you brewing teas? Were you playing with certain toys? Was there a show? This is the secret way I got out. Were there shows that really connected to you back then? I hunted those down and rewatched them. And that started waking up that dormant part of me. What were your favorite shows when you were a kid? What was your favorite music when you were a kid? Before all of these layers of control got placed on you. Find a place to start. What was your favorite book when you were a kid? Did you love to sing? Did you love to dance? Even if, like me, you have a lot of mobility issues, you can still dance in a chair. Just move your arms around. Feel the music and the rhythm in your body. That is the key question to life. And that's how you wake up to this glorious calling that is coming for all of us. You reconnect to that light that was in you as a child, and you let it out. You start reconnecting to it. You start filling yourself with that simple joy, and then you build on it. Remember, I said that we need to get into that flow state. So maybe coloring in a coloring book was what gave you joy as a kid. So maybe try some of the adult coloring books that are a bit more complex, and maybe try different media to color in them. Maybe move on to try and paint by numbers, or maybe even stretching and doing original painting, taking an art class, finding ways to connect to that artist that's in you that's wanting to get out. Maybe instead of being a painter, you want to be a decorator and you want to redo your house, your apartment, put up some fairy lights, hang some fabric from the walls because you can't repaint them, but you can add color in a different way. Find ways that you can stretch those childhood innocent impulses into things that really truly connect you to life, to that flow coming through you. And be silly. I hate the word silly and I love the word silly. Silly is holy. It's joyous. We've lost that idea of the sacredness of silliness. Yes, there's times to be serious and to be solemn, but for so much of our lives, we need to embrace the silliness of it, the sheer absurdity of life. and laugh. Not everyone has this experience, but I know a lot of the people that I talk to do. When you were a kid and you would fall down and you'd scrape your knee, and there was that initial shock and that pain, and your friends would come over and you'd all have that gasp, that moment of terror, like, oh, are you okay? And then someone, maybe you, but somebody would giggle because that tension needed to break. It needed to break so bad. And somebody would giggle, and then everybody was giggling. And even though your knee hurt, you started laughing too, often laughing with tears still in your eyes because, oh, it's funny, I fell. Oh, it's funny, I skinned my knee. And you would continue on and you would go out and you would continue to play. That's the resilience we need now. That's the resilience we need today more than ever. That ability to fall down, skin our knees, and laugh, and get up and continue the race, to continue the play, to continue to go out there and embrace the joys of life and living. That's real spirituality. That's real prayer. That is the power of God flowing through us. When you're amongst your friends and there is laughter, that is the power of God flowing through you. I don't know if this will connect with anyone, but when you see someone doing flamenco dancing and they're really getting into it and the crowd starts chanting, ole, ole, ole. Well, that's a holdover from when the Muslims controlled Spain and the dancers would be dancing and they would chant, Allah, 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 because God was there in the dance. How are you bringing God into the middle of your dance? To live life is to be enthusiastic. And yes, that means to be joyful and filled with energy. It also means to be filled with God. That's literally what enthusiasm means. To be filled with God. When I was talking with an atheist friend of mine once, she asked me, how can I believe in God in a world with so much sorrow? And I simply answered, I have experienced enthusiasm and joy because that's God. That's God in me, in you, in everyone else. It's that power erupting through us into the cosmos. So where do you find that enthusiasm? Where are you enthusiastic? Is there a genre of music you used to love? I keep going to music because I'm really connected to music. And so whether it's the music of my childhood or finding a new artist or a new song that really connects to me, it means a lot to me. And maybe it will to you too. Maybe it's going hiking. Maybe it's just going to a scenic overlook and looking out at the beauty of nature, sitting out and watching the stars and just watching them. Because that's the brilliant thing about life. Life doesn't have to-do lists. Okay, yeah, we have to eat and drink and sleep and, take basic care of ourselves, but those are not really the same to-do lists that a job gives us. They're not tasks that have to be done. They're tasks that, if we're capable, can help to bring us that enthusiasm as well. What are your favorite foods? What do you love to eat? What food brings you joy? I grew up in the Ozarks, and we used to go fishing a lot. And then we moved to Maryland. And so seafood has a special joy, a special place in my heart. Because, like I said, I grew up without a lot of money. So special food came when we would go fishing and catch some perch or some catfish, or those few magical times when we'd catch a trout or a bass. It was mostly perch and catfish, if I'm honest. But every now and then we'd catch a bass or a trout. And that food was special. Because one, the joy of being out sometimes with the grandfather that I did not have a good relationship with, I did when we went fishing. It's the few times that I really felt like I could connect with him. But I went out with a lot of my grandparents. I went out with my parents. And we'd go fishing. And so seafood really feels like home to me. It gives me a special joy, a special connection to my life and all those sweet memories. Do you have a connection like that? Is there a place there that you can start this process? Because I'll let you know right now, once you start living, it's like an avalanche. All you have to do right now, if this feels impossible, is find that first pebble that you can throw down the mountain, because it'll dislodge others and still more until you are riding a tidal wave of life down the hill. All you have to do is find that first little pebble and get everything into motion. What is that pebble for you? If you can't tell, spirituality was one of my favorite things as a child. I used to love to go to church. I used to love to do Bible study with my great grandmother, to sing the hymns that she loved so much to talk about Jesus and the various characters of the Bible. It meant so much to me as a child. And so here I am today, and I'm telling you not just the stories of Jesus and those in the Bible, but of the saints and of Bridget and Lou and the Dagda and all of the great cloud of witness that have brought so much joy into my life. Because I love telling and retelling their stories. What did you connect to? What meant so much to you? Just find that first little memory, that first little glimmer of hope, and then figure out how you can try that now. How can you do that now? How can you enter that place where time falls away and there's just joy? Do you love to learn? Is there a topic that's kind of scratching at you that you want to know more about? Dig in, dig deep, connect to that joy, connect to that life. That is how you truly find that hope that you're looking for. Finding that flow state, finding that place where you are truly alive. So wake up, my darlings. Life is calling. Will you answer? And how will you answer? I would love to know what brings you joy. If you're listening to me on Spotify or YouTube, you'll be able to leave a comment and I'll be able to see your answer. You don't have to share anything too personal, but I'd love to know how you connect to life, how you connect to that basic joy. If you're not listening to me on either of those platforms, if you head over to creationspaths.com and click on the chat, you can go in there and you can leave a comment there and let me know, because I would love to hear from you. Because I think this is one of the biggest things that we don't do enough is share with each other those things that spark joy. When I get together with my friends, the first thing that we do is, since last I saw you, here are some things that sparked joy. We don't say it exactly like that, but that's what we do. We share, here's this video I found. Did you hear this song that I heard? Oh, I learned this thing. And we're sharing those little joys, those little enthusiasms that we've encountered throughout our day, throughout our week. And in sharing them with each other, we are encouraging each other not only to share our own, but maybe even inspiring each other to look in different places. I hope this is connected with you. I hope this has resonated with you. Maybe you've been doing this all along, or maybe this is new, but let me know. And if you think you know anyone that would benefit from a message like this, please share it with them. Share it on your social networks. It really does help us out a lot. It helps to spread the word of what we're trying to do here. Also, if you're on a platform where you can don't forget to subscribe, to follow. If you're on a platform like Apple Podcasts where you can leave a review, please do. That helps us out so much more than you know. If you've got a few dollars that you can pass our way, if you go over to creationspaths.com, you can either join there. Members will be getting our classes early when we start them up, or you can support me over at Ko-fi and Patreon. I'm CE Dorset on both, CEDORSETT on both. And remember, this isn't a donation to God. This isn't a donation to the Lord. You're helping us to keep the lights on, keep food on our table, and a roof over our heads. So anything that you can do would be greatly appreciated, but don't hurt yourself. We'll be all right. But if you can help, please, it would mean the world to me. And until next time, may the grace and blessings of the one life flow through you like a spring, bringing you to new life and revitalizing you so that you may find that viriditas, that green wisdom that is always bringing us to the newness and freshness of life. Amen.